Namaste and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Sattology means science of truth, the study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means science or study of fake life or imagination. So today we are going to have a very interesting topic and your favorite guest. You all love him a lot. So I will just quote that from a new book, the original Atlas, A Seeker's Guide to Spirituality. That's the second title of the book. So there is a shloka over there. Meru Shringe Kilapura Karnikara Vanayute Vijahara Mahadevo Bhimer Bhuta Ganer Vrita. And this is the position of the Meru Parvat and how Mahadev with his associates and Parvati Devi were roaming in the forest of Meru, on the peaks of the Meru. And the Meru Parvat we already discussed so many times in my shows and other places that there cannot be any other place other than the place near Jambu Nad, where the gold is mined. And also there is a Shadoba Nadi, which is called Sadyaj Nadi today, Shadoba Nadi, Shaloba Nadi in Ramayana. And so these geographical coordinates are extremely important to know the place over there. And also the sun's movement over there. And I have a direct picture of sun's movement from there, from the local time, which is in my book also. You can see it, that how the sun looks over there virtually on your head. And you may think it should be near Japan, but the sun is virtually on the head in Meru Parvat. So this will give you rise to new definitions of everything else going on. That's how accurate Mahabharata is. I have a very special guest who has done more work on the astronomical side, studying the stars and the planets and trying to prove how accurate is Mahabharata in terms of geographic coordinates from the stars perspective. Let's welcome Shri Nilesh Oak. Namaste Nilesh.
Namaskar Aditya ji. How are you?
I am good. आपको मेरा नया बुक का टाइटल अच्छा लगा इस बार?
Yes, the original Atlas, so that's very good. And what you just said, the consistency is remarkable.
Remarkable.
Of the place, of the vegetation, like say bamboo forest, for example, along the river, and the coordinates, meaning in terms of latitudes, like you're talking of how the sun appears from that location and so on, and the Meru, the description of a Meru, and consistency. So something that happened, say the text from Ramayana, like 14,000 years ago, it has a beautiful description and without any changes. Now, there may be some slight changes how we say things, right? See, Bombay became Mumbai, and before that it was a Mumbapuri, so those names will change, but still we know, we can identify it's the same location. So what are the names of the river? Like
Sadyaj, Shadoba, Shaloba.
Shaloba, right? So
and
the slight changes.
Jamuna Swarn.
Yeah, slight changes will happen in the name and the things which we call Pathabhed. They happen in the text also over a period of time. Like, a certain English word, it actually gets pronounced in 20 different ways, depending on who is pronouncing it. It's something similar sometime, and that may get captured. But amazing, you find the consistent description. This is a terrestrial description of a particular place in Ramayana. You find the same consistent way in Mahabharata. That's just amazing. And frankly, celestial equal to terrestrial, so you see the same consistent astronomy system used, and we can use that to tell when Ramayana happened, when Mahabharata happened.
Nilesh ji, वहां पे जो है ना, the people over there, they use tridents. Tridents is the most common religious symbol over there.
Yeah, from the Shiva tradition, huh?
From a very old tradition, because that's where the Shukdev Goswami was born.
Yeah.
And there is a trident, and there are people who are doing damru. It's a famous drum over there. Yeah. So there is a lot of shaman traditions there, which are Turkish shamans, Mongolian shaman, and also the Russian shamans. And all three of them have set up camps at the base. Yeah. And some camps are in the middle of the mountain also, where they are doing a traditional worship of their god, which is Mahadev, through Damru and other things. The languages you and I cannot understand. They don't speak Sanskrit, or they are disconnected from Sanskrit, but many things you can understand because the rituals are similar to that.
Yes. Very interesting. And so that's a good validation. Sometimes people ask, where is the archaeology evidence? Well, this is archaeology evidence. This actually astronomy is also archaeology. Now, people are so reductionist in their dumbass thinking that they don't realize that when we use astronomy to date something in the past, it is archaeology. It is an
Absolutely.
archaeology of a different kind, just like what you just quoted, or that physically we take a description from a text and actually follow the latitude, go there and still find a river, still find the bamboo plantations, and still find the descriptions how you would watch the sun or how you would see the moon. That's a archaeology validation.
And the gold
And the
mines,
Jambunath
mine,
gold, right? Yeah.
selective mines.
So, yeah, just like, so you're talking of Jambunath gold, which is from the Uttara Kuru area, so to say. Similarly, Vedas, I have a reference, I forgot which one, has a reference to the gold from Peru.
Peru,
It's
yeah,
called
that's right.
Parujam in the
Parujam.
Vedas. Parujam. How amazing, right?
Yeah, because the original island name is Pushkar.
Ah,
Pushkar Parujam.
yeah.
And also Somanus gold also they call it.
Oh, is it? Interesting.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
Somanus. Because Somanus
Yeah.
Shikhar is over there.
Yeah.
I mean, and also the sun will appear to you from Meru as if it has descended on the earth.
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
It's unbelievable view of that.
hmm,
It's on my travel list now for
hmm,
2024.
hmm.
So those of you who are watching the video would like to come with me to Meru, please tell me. And we
Yeah.
are going to do japa over
Hmm,
there in
hmm.
the middle of the Meru mountain, and we'll do Mahadev japa with
Yeah.
mantra which is mentioned in Mahabharata. How
Yeah.
they worship.
Very good.
And
And so people are doing a Kailash Yatra, but this would be now Meru Yatra.
Meru Yatra.
Yeah.
And
Very good.
that area is called Ilavarta.
Hmm.
Ilavarta is a central part of Asia, and
Hmm.
it covers many countries. And on the right is Bhadrashva, towards the
Hmm.
east, and towards the west is Ketumal.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
beauty is, Ketumal people are known as Shyam Varna. And
Interesting.
you will be shocked to know why. How can they all white people?
Yeah.
No, they are not. They're like
Hmm.
you and me, whitish complexion. The
Interesting.
Shyam Varna hai. और वो
Interesting.
that trend continues towards the Middle East, towards the Madra, towards
हाँ
south also.
हाँ हाँ हाँ.
So वहाँ के लोगों का ओरिजिनल कलर रही है और लड़ी and महिलाओं the color of the women is also
Hmm.
different. But women color is Kamal Patrashva.
Ah,
So and
right,
that
right.
is true because they're
Yeah.
pinkish odor.
Yeah.
They are not considered white. They are considered
Yeah.
Shamavarna because still fairer than the men,
Yes.
but not exactly white.
Right. Right.
So very accurate description.
Right. So as accurate as you are talking the terrestrial description,
Yes.
I would like to discuss the very precise celestial descriptions from the Mahabharata. And so I'll tell you quick, give you a background. Like, this is a 17-year-old individual from India. And actually, you should bring him on the show. I will connect you with him.
Please. Please.
Vansh Agarwal. He's based in Jaipur now,
Mhm.
and he makes very interesting videos, like for his generation, you can say, like many of our folks in the audience right now. He's a
Yes.
17-year-old, so many of them would be not that different, just something that clicks with that audience. And so he contacted me. I mean, he has made a few videos based on my research work. And so in that context, he contacted and he asked, like, hey, so Arundhati Vasishta, yes, it gives a time interval. Bhishma Nirvana evidence gives a time interval. And now all planetary evidence takes you to 5561 BC. That he understood. But he said that's like a 50 different descriptions. Because scientifically speaking, if once you put a theory, you have a demand to look at every single description. You cannot to pick and choose. That would be
Yes.
a cherry picking fallacy.
Mhm.
Whether it agrees with your date or not, you have to test every single evidence. But he
Absolutely.
said, is there a small set of evidence that decisively also takes you to 5561 BC? And initially I gave him an answer, Aditya. I said, well, yeah, if you take the evidence of Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars, and together, do you know how much it adds up to? Like, you can say that is the beauty of a Vasudev. The total number of instances, like different descriptions of Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars, when you combine, they add up to 18. Okay. So I said, hey, that 18 is a nice, beautiful number too. 18 parvas in 18 days. And see, this is another one. Then he said, that's good. But that's like, it can be overwhelming for people. And I said, well, let me think over it. And then when I sat and just thought about it, the Mars evidence, which has 8 descriptions, because the Saturn and Jupiter together have 10, okay, plus Mars is 8. But if somebody takes only the 8, which are all the descriptions of planet Mars in the context of Mahabharata, and somebody tests them, guess what? In the last 10,000 years or 20,000 years, it doesn't matter, uh, but just for simplicity, I will take 10,000 years. And then some stupid guy will come up and ask, say, why, what happens before 10,000 years? I said, why do you want to even look for it? Are you saying that Mahabharata war happened more than 10,000 years ago? So this is the kind of stupidity that you will get across, even when you try to make life simple for others. I said, just in the last 10,000 years, if you take that Mars evidence, 8 descriptions, it will take you to 5561 BC and only 5561 BC. Now, somebody said, "Oh, what about 20,000 years?" I said, "Yeah, same thing happens, but go and search, for yourself." But why are you searching? It's like we are in America and we want to go and find a gas station. Somebody says, "Well, is there a gas station in Kazakhstan?" Yeah, there is. But why do you care? You just want a gas for your car. People don't. Viveka buddhi is required. The common sense. That's why we need a bhakti. The devotion is required. The chanting is required. Yoga is required. Bhakti yoga is required. Not just yoga, not just bhakti. We need a bhakti yoga, and that is to get rid of this nuisance, in from your brain.
हम लोग कभी डिस्कस करेंगे, we'll discuss actually, Nilesh ji, that
Hmm.
Manasachal and Manasottar are the same mountains. Okay.
Hmm.
But Meru is in Jammu and Manasottar is in Pushkar.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so now we need to, not Pushkar of India, Pushkar of the planet.
Old
And
times. Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
yes, so and the definition of equator we need to check, because and you will do a better job than me because you have more understanding. And there we can actually make the movement of sun more scientific,
Hmm. Hmm.
those parameters, and we'll
Hmm.
discuss that later on. I think let's get
Okay.
started.
Okay. Let me get into the Mars evidence
Yes,
directly.
Mars
Okay.
evidence. Yes, so it
Yeah.
will be
Yeah.
like a
So what?
debunking Mahabharat mythologies through Mars and Meru.
Yeah, we don't have to even the debunking. We just simply say asserting, establishing,
Absolutely.
the truth, establishing the truth.
That's right.
That's
Amazing.
also
I
sufficient.
like. I like
Debunking, we will do another one, like
that. Yeah.
how fake Mahabharat researchers, academics, both pro India and anti India, have
Yes.
made a royal mess out of this. If you look at their knowledge, what they're claiming, Adityaji, you will roll and laugh. It is that pathetic, but that's for another time.
That's right.
So, if you want to, for example, what I'm going to do is quickly share the references and then take all of us into astronomy simulation. It will be very fast. Okay. So, let me do this. Can you see my screen?
Yes, very good.
Use my,
Very
okay. So, Mars
one
is,
of the best PPTs. First slide.
oh, thank you. Okay, so what this is of course a artist imagination, the surface of the Mars, and if you notice that small astronaut here walking on the Mars. Now let's take this as a metaphor, like us, any one of us, going into this Mars world of Mahabharata, like all the 8 descriptions of Mars in the Mahabharata, and we are exploring it. You can explore it on the surface of the Mars, like that will be a terrestrial, like literally, but in the sense of Mars, or it can be celestial, and we are going to look at the celestial one. These are the 8 specific and all exhaustive, every possible existing description of Mars from the Mahabharata text is included here. And Adityaji, why this is important? Because as soon as I did this, now I did this 10 years ago, to 2011, when I published my first book, When Did the Mahabharata War Happen? But it takes time for people. People are lazy. Many don't read. Even when they read, they don't understand or they misunderstand. That is also a problem. But finally, after 5+ years, by 2016, people started understanding it. When those few who did understand, they were fascinated. And why that is so? I'm telling you a social effect in the Mahabharata research circle. When I publish this evidence, I don't mean just the Mars, but we will only talk of Mars today. But when I publish the planetary evidence, Arundhati Vasishta evidence, Bhishma Nirvana evidence, guess what? Because nobody was discussing Arundhati Vasishta evidence. When I started discussing, they were forced to discuss Arundhati Vasishta evidence. And to this day, they are forced to discuss Arundhati Vasishta evidence. Of course, they discuss it in the wrong way, but they are forced to, because everyone is going to ask them, why did you not include Arundhati Vasishta? So they go on all kinds of tangents, all kinds of rubbish things they do. We will talk about that sometime. Now, Bhishma Nirvana. Now, many Mahabharata researchers were discussing Bhishma Nirvana, but they never bothered. I'm telling you, Aditya ji, on your show, they never, other than few exceptions, and I'm telling you 3 or 4 exceptions: Shankar Balakrishna Dikshit, Lele Shastri, Pava Kane, C.V. Vaidya, P.V. Vartak. These are the 5 names. Other than that, no Mahabharata researcher, exceptions none other than these 5, no Harika Lal, ever bothered to read the Mahabharata text using astronomy evidence. They're claiming they're using astronomy evidence. They don't even know what I'm showing you on the screen. It is that pathetic, Aditya ji. They don't even know that this evidence exists. Think of this. And now that I have put forward, they will, of course, I mean, I want them to do it. I want them to come out of their holes and talk about this. They will not dare talk. So the magical thing that has happened, I will show you how fascinating and magical it is in 2 minutes. But the simple magic in a social context, the social context of Mahabharata dating research has happened, is no Harika Lal has guts now to talk about the planetary evidence of Mahabharata text. Not only of Mars, but also of Saturn, also of Jupiter, also of Venus, also of Mercury, also of Sun and a moon. Now, they will blabber, of course, and I want them to blabber, but they will not talk meaningfully. For example, no one is talking right now Mahabharata Mars evidence. Do you know why? Because not even a single Mahabharata researchers, exceptions none, can show any of these 8 descriptions to be valid for any of the 100 plus different dates they are claiming. This is how fascinating this is. Okay, so let's look at the 8 evidences. I have given a crude translation. Okay, but you don't need to remember it. I mean, our audience doesn't need to remember. Just pay attention that there are 8 references, and we are going to validate all 8 of them for 5561 BCE. Also look at the consistency. Let's start with here. The way I have written them is how they arrive in the Mahabharata text. For example, Udyog Parva comes before Bhishma Parva. So Udyog Parva references I have noted down here. Notice they are next to each other, 141.8, 141.9. They both are talking about the planet Mars. I'll come to that in a detail. Then Bhishma Parva, 3rd chapter, you have one reference here, then 2nd reference here, 3rd reference here. Notice reference number 4 and 5 are next to each other, 3.16 and 3.17. They are again, both of them talking about the planet Mars. And then we continue in the Bhishma Parva for the next 2. There is a description in the Bhishma Parva on the first day of the war when Angarak and Buddha, Angarak means Mars and Buddha means Mercury, they were seen together in the same part of the sky. On the same day, there is another reference description where Shukra Angaraka, that is Venus and Mars, were seen in the same part of the sky next to each other, close to each other. How do we know? Samabhavat or Samiyatu, these are the words that are used. They were close, they were near, they were in a similar position, whatever the way you want to describe it. Then fast forward to the last day of the Mahabharata Wars, 2nd November, 5561 BCE. That is the 18th day of the war, and 3 planets, Bhrugu, Suno, Dharaputro, Shashi, Jeno. So just before the call, before our program, we talked about different names of Mars. Like Mangal is how it is known in the modern times. But in the ancient times, as you said correctly, we see different names. So for example, here, see Angaraka, Angaraka, Angaraka. Okay, these are the names we are saying. Also, one more time, Angaraka, that's Mars. The another name that you are also going to see for Mars is, of course, here it is said in a adjective like Parushograha, which means like an evil planet, Like those who in astrology would know, typically Saturn is seen as evil, Mars is seen as evil, and many people may not know, but the sun is also considered evil in some way because of its intense brightness. Okay, but there is another word, actually two more words we are going to look at. The another word for Mars is lohitang, like a molten gold, sorry, molten iron, red in that sense. Lohita, lohi color of a lohita. Also, we call red blood cells, so that lohita comes from that actually. It comes from rohita. Just like we say the word changes, over time. That rohita has also become lohita because rohito means red, rohini, for example. Okay.
And also there's one more name, Buddha. So
Buddha
Buddha is
is
also,
for Mercury here.
yes, Angaraka. And
Okay, Angaraka. So Buddha, Angaraka. So Angaraka is for Mars and Buddha is for Mercury. So here it is saying Mercury and Mars were seen together. And there's a one more name of Mars that I'm going to give you here, and therefore also for other planets. So here Bhrugu Suno is for Venus, for Shukra. Okay, son of Bhrugu. Then Dhara Putro, son of Earth, son of Dhara is Mars. Okay, and Shashi Jaina is son of Shashi, which is Mercury. Okay, so those are the names. Now, for the purpose of a testing, so this is how they occurred in that sequence in the Mahabharata text. This is in Udyog Parva, then Bhishma Parva, third chapter, then Bhishma Parva, 43rd chapter, then Shalya Parva, the 18th day of the war. But in order to test them, we have to understand in a different sequence. Why is that? Because that's the sequence of a nakshatra. Like if you start with Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, Rohini, Mrugashirsha, Ardra, Punarvasu, Pushya, Aslesha, Magha. See, this is that Magha reference. Magha, Svangarako, Vakra. Magha. Then what? Purva, Falguni, Uttara, Falguni, Hasta, Chitra, Swati, Vishakha, Anuradha, Jeshta. So that sequence we are going to follow. Therefore, before going into simulation, I'm going to reorganize them. So for testing purposes, we are going to reorganize in this way. So the first one going from say east to the west, because you see all these descriptions on the previous page that I just showed you here, you will see all these descriptions of Mars when the nakshatra is mentioned. It begins with Magha and it ends with Brahma Rashi Shravana. So it begins with a Magha here in number 3 and it ends with a Brahma Rashi and Shravana Nakshatra. Okay, so that's why I'm organizing them in that fashion. So first one, it says Mars went crooked, Vakra, in an oblique fashion, in a crooked fashion, and I'll explain what crooked means, near Nakshatra Magha. Then the next one is after that, it came near Nakshatra Chitra and Swati and it went retrograde. That description there, see, Mars started moving in a non-normal direction by becoming settled near Chitra and Swati, like Dishtita in one place, and by becoming scary bright is a classic description of Mars going retrograde. Okay, so that's the next. Then exactly same phenomenon is described by Vyasadeva between a Karna and Krishna dialogue in a different way. Yeah, there Vyasadeva is writing, so Karna is telling Krishna, he says, Visheshenai Varshnaya, this particular planet Mars, Visheshenai Varshnaya Chitra Pediyate Graha, in a very peculiar fashion, it is torturing Nakshatra Chitra. That is referring to this Mars going retrograde here. Okay, and I'll explain what it means by that. The next one is now, just like it has gone crooked near Nakshatra Magha, it has now gone crooked near, see, it says Krutva Changarako Vakram, crooked, oblique crossing of the ecliptic. Near where? Jeshtaya Anuradha. Jeshta Madhusudana Anuradha. Near Nakshatra Jeshta Anuradha. That's the sequence. After Chitra Swati, Vishakha, Anuradha, Jeshta. You follow? That's the sequence I'm going. And then the last one, as far as the nakshatra descriptions are concerned, after doing all this Vakra, Anuvakra, then finally Vakra, Anuvakram Krutvam Cha, after doing all of this, Mars came in the area of bright Shravana. That's what it's saying. Shravane Pavaka Prabha. And then what did it do? Then it aligned itself along the same Vrutta, Sama Avrutta or Sama Vrutta, along the same longitude as Brahma Rashi. That is the 28th nakshatra, Abhijit, Vega, Brahma Rashi. It aligned itself along the longitude of Brahma Rashi. And we are going to look at all of this. In addition to these five, we have three on the previous page. I will not go there, but it's in simple language. That is, we have to show on the first day of the Mahabharata war, which is 16 October 5561 BC, that Mercury and Mars were together in the same part of the sky. We have to also show that Venus and Mars were together in the same part of the sky. And then we will fast forward by 18 days to the last day of the war. And we have to show that Mars, Mercury, and Venus were also together in the same part of the sky. Okay, so that's it. So what we are going to do now, I'm going to jump into simulation, and then we'll be done in like, I hope we'll be done in like 10 minutes. Okay, so where we begin is, I am going to start here so everyone can see the date. Okay, so the date is 1st of January 5562 BC. Now, the first day of the Mahabharata war is 16 October 5561 BC. So this time where we are starting the simulation is about the whole year of 5562, that's 12 months. And in 5561 in October, so 10 months. So we are starting this simulation about 20 months before the first day of Mahabharata war. Now, what's the significance of it? I'm going to show you almost a complete full rotation of the Mars. Okay, and that's what Vyasadeva has observed and therefore noted down. So when we complete our simulation, what you will find is that this Mars is somewhere here, okay, in the area of a Shravan. That's where we will end. So as if like it has approximately made one complete round, but not totally complete round, and that it has done in 20 months, which is perfect. The orbital period of Mars is what? 1.88 years, so around 20 months, 21 months, something like that. Okay, so let's begin. So let's look at the first observation. Now, what is the first observation? Before we get there, this one for all astronomy, Adityaji, and for our audience, all astronomy, doesn't matter where. If we are on the Earth, whether it is a modern astronomy, whether it is a NASA astronomy, whether it is a Western astronomy who learned from Indian astronomy, okay, Mesopotamian astronomy, like Sumerian astronomy, who also learned from India. Learned meaning actually they were Indians who migrated to Sumeria, okay, what we call modern day Iraq and Syria and Turkey and that area. They took Indian astronomy with them, okay, and eventually when it was passed on to Greeks, it got diluted, it became inferior, people confused, in understanding it, because it's like a pitcher and a catcher. The pitcher may be good, but if the catcher is not good, then the catcher doesn't catch the ball properly. That has happened in the transfer of knowledge. Anyways, so for any astronomy on the Earth, and Indian astronomy is the oldest there, and for all astronomy, this line that you see, what is it? It is the path of the sun as seen from the Earth. Okay, this is not its daily path, this is its yearly path. Okay, daily path would be what? Actually, it will just, this sun, if I just let me do a one click. Okay, so one day forward, if I do one day click, see, sun just went like 1 degree, so this went back here. That's his sun's daily path. We feel like sun made a complete round because it is the Earth that is going around. Okay, that's a different story. But now we are talking about sun traveling around the Earth, which is a apparent motion because sun is not traveling. It is the Earth that is traveling. So I assume basic astronomy 101 on everyone's part. If that's not there, you have to take it on a faith, saying, okay, what Nilesh is saying must be true. Let me verify afterwards. That's why Bhagwan Patanjali says it. Aditya is another book, on the yoga as it is, which is
Transcending the mind, transcending the mind.
transcending the mind, okay, but based on a Patanjali Yoga Sutra, where Patanjali, one of the sutra, he says, Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Pradnya, Purvakam. This is your choice. You can do with your own efforts. You can do with the Shraddha. You can do with the Pradnya. And Pradnya is not just going to fall from the sky. You have to acquire it. Either you have it based on your past good karma of the past lives, or you have to acquire it in this life. Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Pradnya. So my point is, From a Pradnya astronomy, everyone understand this is very basic stuff, astronomy 101. But if you don't understand it, then you have to take it on a Shraddha. So let's go forward. So what I'm showing is this is the path of the sun around the earth. It's called ecliptic, in Sanskrit Kranti Vrutta, and that is the reference point. So when we are going to look at the crooked motions of Mars, we are going to look at them twice. One is Mars going crooked near Nakshatra Magha, Magha Swangarako Vakra, and another one is near Jeshta Anuradha. Krutva Changarako Vakra Jeshtaya Madhusudana Anuradha Prarthayate, near Jeshta Anuradha. Let's begin with the Mars. Notice this is the path of the ecliptic, path of the sun. And right now, the position of the Mars, this is Mars here, is to the south of the ecliptic. Okay, if the Mars was on this side, it would be to the north of the ecliptic. Right now, Mars is on the south. So first observation we are going to see that Magha Swangarako Vakra is how Mars crossed the ecliptic near Nakshatra Magha. Okay, so let's do. So it is on the south. Remember that. I am going to give a step change of 1 day. So as the 1 day passes, you see all the things moving, but focus on the Mars. So Mars is still to the south of the ecliptic. Now sun is taking over, bypassing Mars, you can say, as seen from the Earth. Everything is as seen from the Earth. Now notice Mars is getting closer and closer to the ecliptic. This is that crooked travel of the Mars from the south to the north. Notice it's coming closer to the ecliptic. I will stop it when it's kind of right on the ecliptic. So somewhere here, for example, notice Mars was to the south. Now it is right on the ecliptic, but it has not crossed the ecliptic yet. So we are going to follow this and see when exactly it comes on the other side. Now it is coming on the north. And when it finally does it, what is that well-known nakshatra, bright nakshatra that we can see where we can say, it did travel to, it did cross the ecliptic. That nakshatra happens to be Magha. Because if you notice, when I started, it started near Uttara Bhadrapada. So after Uttara Bhadrapada, we have Revati, Ashwini, Bharani, Krittika, Rohini, Mrugashirsha, Ardra, Punarvasu. That is when it finally got on the ecliptic. And then after Punarvasu, there is a Pusha, Ashlesha, it is still, yes, it has crossed it, but it's not distinctly clear. What is the bright star by which when the Mars came there, we can definitely say, just from an observation, it's on the north. It has completed its Vakra motion, that is Nakshatra Magha. So this is first validation out of 8. Magha Swangarako Vakra. Mars travel crooked near Nakshatra Magha. Okay, let's go forward. The next one we are going to do, it's the retrograde motion of Mars described by Bhagwan Vyasadeva in the Mahabharata text at the time of the Mahabharata war. How does he describe the retrograde motion? Beautifully. Adityaji, there cannot be a better description of Mars retrograde motion than what Bhagwan Vyasadeva has given in the Mahabharata text. Okay, so I'm going to expand the view so that you see, everyone sees Chitra Nakshatra here, but also Nakshatra Swati. And what I'm going to tell you so that you can relate to the shlok I'm going to say. So the Mars is coming here close to Chitra. It will go here further beyond Swati. So Swati is here. Then it will go close to Vishakha, like Vishakha, Yogatara. But it will not continue to go forward just like it went until now from Uttara Bhadrapada all the way to Hasta. It will actually turn backward. That is that retrograde motion will come as far back as Chitra and then it will start going in that direction. Notice it is to the north. So it hasn't crossed it. After it crossed in the Mars, that was a Vakra. Now it has become Anuvakra. It is coming straight in the north of the ecliptic. And now we are going to see the retrograde motion. Notice the timestamp. This is end of October 5562 BCE. Practically in the area of Swati and Chitra, this Mars will stay in this area for 6 months. 6 months. Otherwise, do you know how long it takes for Mars to cross one nakshatra? 20 days. If it's not retrograde, Mars just crosses one nakshatra in about 20 days. But here between these two nakshatra, it is going to stay for 6 months. That is the retrograde motion. Okay. So let's do that. What is that Mahabharata reference? It says Dhruvam Prajwalitam Ghoram. It becomes extremely bright, and I can show you that actually. Okay, so let me just take it back for a second here. Okay, so before it goes retrograde, let me show you its magnitude. And the magnitude is kind of goes the backward. Okay, so magnitude, the way it happens is higher the number, less brighter the star, or lower the number, brighter the star it is, star, sorry, or the planet it is. Okay, it applies for star and planet. Right now you're saying zero point 0.4. As when it goes retrograde, you're going to see a number which is lower, like even a negative number. Okay, because Mars is going to get brighter. You won't see it in the visual because this is astronomy simulation, but you can see in the magnitude. So I can leave the Mars magnitude here. You can watch this magnitude, how it changes. What is the reference? Dhruvam Prajwalitam Ghoram. It became scary bright. That's what Vyasadeva is saying. By becoming fixed, Dhruvam Prajwalitam Ghoram Apasavya Pravartate. By it changes behavior. It started going in a non-normal direction. Right now, the normal direction is from the east to the west, from Uttara Bhadrapada to Revati to Ashwini to Bharani to Krittika, Rohini, Mrugashirsha, Ardra, Punarvasu, Pusha, Aslesha, Magha, Purva Falguni, Uttara Falguni, Hasta, Chitra. So far, it is just going in that direction. When it goes retrograde, it doesn't do that. You are going to see this. Okay. So Dhruvam Prajwalitam Ghoram. Now watch carefully. Dhruvam Prajwalitam Ghoram became scary bright. Okay. Prajwalitam Ghoram Apasavya Pravartate. It changes behavior and started going in the other direction. Apasavya, non-normal. See, it has turned backward. Do you notice something else? Notice the magnitude. It was 0.4 when I showed it to you. Now it is minus 2.1. Remember what I said about magnitude. When it is a lower number, that means the planet or star has become brighter. Very, very bright this is, okay? And there is another simulation, but I'll not show that today. You can actually see Mars turning bright and big and so on. So, Dhruvam Prajwalitam Ghoram Apasavya Pravartate. Sorry. And where is this happening? It became scary bright and it started moving in a backward direction, wrong direction, so to say. And where is this happening? Chitra Swatyantare Chaiva Dishtita Parusha Graha, between Nakshatra, Chitra, and Swati. Okay, how fascinating. This is validation of reference number 2. Let me quickly do the validation of reference number 3. This same situation is described by Bhagwan Vyasadeva through the mouth of Karna and Krishna dialogue in a different way. There he says, Nunam Mahad Bhayam Krishna, Karna is telling Krishna, Nunam Mahad Bhayam Krishna Kuruna Samupastitam Visheshenahi Varshneya Chitra Pidiyate Graha. Which one? Which graha? Prutva Changarako Vakra. The continuation of that Angarak started afflicting, torturing Nakshatra Chitra in a very peculiar fashion. What is that peculiar fashion it is referring to? Okay, that second reference. This is like those people who are watching cricket or any game, ice hockey, NHL, or football. See, sometime when a small clip of the specific game, like in a football, a catch, or in a cricket, a sixer, or a catch again, or in a hockey, somebody making a goal. That particular event, that small instance of the sports time is shown through different angles. Okay, sometime from this side, sometime from front, sometime from the back, sometime from the top. Imagine like this. Vyasadeva is giving one description in the Bhishma Parva of Mars going retrograde by saying what? Dhruvam Prajulitam Goram Apasavya Pravartate Chitra Swatyantare Chaiva Dishtita Parushagraha. Now he is giving that same description in a different way by saying what? Visheshenahi Varshneya Chitra Pidiyate Graha. This Mars is afflicting, torturing Chitra in a peculiar fashion. What is that peculiar fashion? Here is it. So first it came to Chitra, nothing surprising because it's going by every nakshatra. But as if this time it thought of doing, I'm going backward. I have to go backward. This time it thought of doing something very interesting. Okay, I'm going backward by the way right now. So I have to go. So when it came normally, that's fine. But let me just do fast forward here to explain that. which I already showed, by the way, but I'm saying as if like you are watching the same phenomenon from a different angle. Okay, so this is what I'm showing now. So this is one retrograde, but Vyasadev also described a different way by saying Visheshanei Varshne Chitra Pidete Graha. So in what way this Mars is torturing Nakshatra Chitra in a peculiar fashion? By this way. It went by Chitra, no problem there, that it is doing with all Nakshatra, but as if to torture Chitra, as if to tease Chitra, it turned backwards and came all the way to Nakshatra Chitra before going forward. That is what Vyasadeva is describing in a very poetic fashion as Visheshanei Varshneya Chitra Pidiyate Graha. Okay, so this is a validation of reference number 3. We are ready for validation of reference number 4. So let me stop this. Now, if you would have noticed, by the way, so after it came out of retrograde, you see now it's becoming less bright. You know, the negative number is getting up. And if you continue this, I'm going to remove this for a distraction. So avoid distraction. It will become again 0.4 plus 0.4 and so on and so forth. We are ready for validation of number 4. It says Krutva Changarako Vakra. Remember, Mars had obliquely crossed in a crooked fashion, crossed the ecliptic near Nakshatra Magha from Uttara Bhadrapada to Magha. Now it is going to do it. This time it's going to do very fast, but from the north to the south. So it's going to obliquely cross the ecliptic. It's going to cross the ecliptic, this line, in a crooked fashion. That therefore it's a cross. It's not going straight. Where? Near Anuradha Jeshta. Remember, it said near Magha, exactly same scientific consistency it is going to show here. So now what does it do? Krutva Changarako Vakra Jesthaya Madhusudana Anuradha Prarthayate Maitram Samshema Yanniva. So it crossed the ecliptic, it came on from the north to the south, and after it crossed, the first bright nakshatra it encounters is what? Anuradha, right here, followed by Jeshta. And that's exactly what Vyasadeva has captured by saying Krutva Changarako Vakra Jesthaya Madhusudana Anuradha Prarthayate Maitram Samshami Yanniva. Madhusudan is because Karna is telling Krishna. So he's saying, hey Madhusudan, Angarak, Mars has done crossing, has gone crooked near Nakshatra Anuradha and Jeshta. So this is a validation of reference number 4. Krutva Changarako Vakra Jishtaya Madhusudana. Then what happens? Then it says, after going through this Vakra Anuvakra motion, it came near Nakshat bright Shravana and Brahma Rashi. So that is the first day of the war. Okay, what is the verse? I'll stop first at the first day of the war, which is October 16. Okay, so we can stop here and just go with the step change to October 16 here. Okay. This is October 16, the first day of the war. Okay. And let me make it bright here. Okay. So I'll expand. So I want to show you the Abhijit also, which is the Brahma Rashi, which is Vega. And what does the reference say? So I'll leave both Abhijit, Shravan, and Mars here. And we will do the measurements of longitude. It says Vakranu Vakram Krutvam cha Shravane Pavaka Prabha. So after going through that Vakra, that crooked motion twice, and then straight motion every time after crooked motion, Vakra Anuvakra, Vakranu Vakram Krutvam cha Shravane Pavaka Prabha. By the first day of the war, this Mars here came near in the area of a nakshatra Shravan. And what did it do? Brahma Rashi Samavrutta, this Abhijit Nakshatra is also known in the Indian text as Brahma Rashi. Aditya, just like we discussed the river Shaloba, or you tell me the correct name, seen in the Uttarakuru region and the bamboo forest, the slight changes can happen, right? The same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Brahma Rashi, but just like you see the consistency in Ramayana, you see that same consistent description in Mahabharata of the terrestrial land, you see the same description of the celestial stars in Ramayana and Mahabharata. In Ramayana, Abhijit, Vega is a modern name in Western astronomy, is known as a Brahma Rashi. And in Mahabharata also it is known as a Brahma Rashi. There is another name in Mahabharata, it's called Brahmya Nakshatra. And you know why? Because the deity, and you can see this in all our texts, Garuda Puran, different Puranas, Samhitas, Brahmanas, that the nakshatra devata of Abhijit is Brahma. That's why it is called Brahma Rashi or Brahmya Nakshatra. Brahmyam Nakshatra Samavrutta Lohitango Vyavastita. That is one reading of it, Pathabhed. And here Brahma Rashi Samavrutta Lohitango Vyavastita. So let's quickly, just visually, it may look like, oh, is it really Mars between, Mars is near Abhijit? Well, we are going to actually look at the description. How do we do that? If we want, so first, that is the number 5, okay? The validation of number 5. On the first day of the war, 16 October 5561 BCE, it is in the area of a Shravan, and I am saying, or Vasudev is saying, Mars aligned itself along Brahma Rashi Samavrutta. Let's look at this. How do we look at this? Let's look at the longitude. Now, in modern astronomy, the better way to look at the longitude is using right ascension, this RA. Notice the number 1421. Please, all the audience, remember that number 1421. Okay. Now, I'm going to look at the longitude of Abhijit or Brahma Rashi. Okay. So I'm clicking here and notice 1432. So 1422 and 1432, that's a difference of 10 minutes. And do you know what does that mean? 10 minutes. It means a difference of about 2 degrees. So think of the whole sky, 360 degrees, and 2 degrees would be like this. If you just raise your hands at the sky and do like this, you say, they are essentially at the same longitude. But something more. Why did it mention the longitude of Brahma Rashi? Because now remember 1421, 1432. If you do the longitude of Shravan, it is 1348. So it is before Brahma Rashi and before Mars. And if you do the longitude of the next nakshatra after Abhijit, that is Dhanishta, you see that's 1452. So there is 1348 or 1352, whatever it was, then 1452, and in between Mars and Abhijit, Mars and Brahma Rashi are at what? 1432, 1421. This is how precise Bhagwan Vyasadeva is in describing, in making these observations, encoding them in a encrypted form in the Mahabharata, so that no fool can come up with something wrong answer. So actually the foolish people will not even understand what Vyasadeva is saying. And you can see this fun with all the academics, with all the Mahabharata researchers. Okay. Please do this. Okay. So now this is the validation of number 5. Now we have quickly 3 more left. What are those 3 more? On the first day of the war. So this is done. So I'm going to expand the view here and I'll take this out. Okay. So this is the first day of the war, so that you can see Mercury here. This is sun. So Mercury is to the east of the sun, which means after sunset, anyone will able to see Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Mars in the sky. And of course, there is a Uranus, but Uranus is not visible to the naked eye, so we are going to ignore it. Jupiter is not mentioned in these descriptions of Mars, so we are also going to ignore that. There is actually a description, but the video will get unnecessarily longer, so I'll not mention it, because, that first reference we saw, Magha Swangarako Vakra. Next to that, it says, Shravanech Bruhaspati. Adityaji, you will get goosebumps. Magha Swangarako Vakra, that Angarak went Vakra near Magha. And then it says Jupiter went Vakra near Shravan. Jupiter, and I'm not going to show it today, but Jupiter is right now to the north of the ecliptic. Right in this area of Shravan, over next few months, because Jupiter moves very slowly, Jupiter crossed the ecliptic. It went crooked, and crossed and came on the south side near Shravana. That is also Vyasadeva has caught up. Today, that's not the subject, so I don't want to show the demonstration. Magaswangarako Vakra, Shravana Bruhaspati. And near Shravana, Jupiter went Vakra. Okay, but we will not go there. But so 3 planets that we want to actually see for the remaining 3 references, validation of Mars, is Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And you are going to really enjoy this. So on the first day, there is a description. This is reference number 6. There is a description that Mars and Mercury were seen in the same part of the sky. Okay, remember, the entire sky is a 360 degree, and the visible sky at any time is about 180 degree, just simplicity. Actually, it is more depending on your location and whatnot, more than 180 degree is visible, but let's take 180 degree. Total 360. So let us see how far are these two planets. Because the first day, Vasudev is saying that Mercury and Mars were seen in the Samabhavat or Samayuta. Okay. So in the same part of the sky. So let's look at the Mercury longitude, which is 1135 right ascension, and Mars was 1421. So 1135. Sorry, I forgot the number. Let me go again. Um, Mercury right ascension 1135. So 1235, 1335, 1435. So that's like a 3 hours, less than 3 hours. So if they were 3 hours, that would have been 45 degrees. And it is less than 3 hours. So let's say about 40 degrees. So 40 degrees is what? This is 90 degree. If I do the 90-degree angle and if I bring it half, it's a 45 degree. Imagine doing an angle like this in the sky and seeing those two planets in the same area. That's what they were seeing. That is the validation of number 6. Okay, that on the first day of the Mahabharata war, 16 October 5561 BCE, Mercury and Mars were seen together. Let's go to reference number 7, and we have two left, 7 and 8. What does the 7 says? 7 says Venus and Mars were seen together, Samabhavat, okay, in the same part of the sky, closer to each other, in the similar part of the sky, so on and so forth. So Mars and Venus are closer. I mean, in comparison to Mercury, it's very, very obvious. Just let's quickly look at the numbers. So Venus is right ascension is 1351, and Mars right ascension is 1421. So that's about 30 minutes. Do you know how much that means? That's like a half a degree. They are literally like, the full moon disk or full sun disk is half a degree. Just so they both as if like they are on the circumference of the sun's disk or the moon's disk. When the Mars is here and Venus is here, they are that close. So that is a validation of number 7, the first day of the war, Venus and Mars could be seen together. Now we have to the last one, fast forward to the 18th day of the war, and I want you to watch what happens there. As such, if somebody says these 3 planets could be seen together in the same part of the sky, well, that's true even for the first day. But Vasudev has not said that. Vasudev has said this for the 18th day in a Shalya Parva. The reference says Bhrugu Suno. Do you know who is Bhrugu Suno? Son of Bhrugu, Venus. Dharaputro, son of the earth, Prithvi, that's Mars. Shashi Jaina, son of the moon. See, these are the Vedic and Indian astronomy terminologies, well known, by the way. Again, therefore, you take it on a Shraddha, or you have to have astronomy pradnya to already know that that is the case. Dharaputro Shashi Jaina, son of Shashi, which is son of a moon, that's Mercury. They were seen together in the same part of the sky on the 18th day. So we are going to go to 18th day. Notice they are all going to move, but notice who moves the fastest and how they come even closer. All 3 come closer than what they are today. And then we are done. Okay. So this is day 1. We are going to go to the 18th day. Okay. Starting with October 16, 5561 BC, first day. So day number 2. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. November 2, November 2nd, 5561 BC. Lo and behold, on the first day, Mars and Mercury were separated by about 40 degrees. Okay, still, see, they all moved, but Mercury moved a lot faster, if you noticed. Okay, it put Jupiter behind there, and now it's much closer to Mars and Venus. Let's do a quick math on them. So right ascension of Mercury is 1311. Let's look at the Mars, because that's the farthest there. That's 1212. So, sorry, 1512. So let's take that as a 1511. So this one was 12, 1311, 1311, 1411, 1511. So something that was separated by about 40 degrees, Mercury and Mars on the first day of the war. That's impressive. But now all 3 planets are within a span of 30 degrees. 2 hours of right ascension, 1 hour of right ascension is equal to 15 degrees. So therefore, they are within 30 degrees. Okay, think of in your geometry, the angle 30 degree. and you extend that in the sky, within that region, you could see all three. And that is the last reference from Mars validation. Bhrugu Suno Dharaputro Shashi Jena Samanvito Charamam Pandu Putranam Purastat Sarvabhubujam. Now, this I showed for 5561 BC. I am asserting because I have done the testing, and it is my open challenge, Adityaji, to all the Mahabharata researchers around the world, exceptions none. These are the 8 descriptions, and only 8 descriptions of Mars. And if there is an additional one, hey, I would love to see that. Of Mars related to the Mahabharata war given by Vyasadev. And let me stop sharing, by the way. And all these 8 of them validate 5561 BCE, but the most important point is they only validate 5561 BCE and no other year in the last 10,000 years, no other year in the last 20,000 years. But the point is, we don't need to go for 20,000. Somebody asking me what happens after 10,000 years, before 10,000 years, is actually a stupid person. The person doesn't know what he or she is asking, because that is like missing the context. We are not just doing this for the sake of astronomy. We are doing this to understand our history, understand our itihasa. So we have to have a context. There is no point, but if I do 20,000, somebody will say, what happens before 20,000? That's nonsensical. Okay. I mean, people have to sharpen their brain by chanting, the japa, the japa chanting you have. Absolutely. That's the only way. I don't see any other way. Hari bhajan and Hari japa, so back to you.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Like the amount of evidence that you have consistently proved. We have done 143 sessions on Sattology. Okay.
Very nice. Let's go for 200 over time,
Yes.
Yeah.
And 143 sessions has been consistent. One proof after the other proof, the other proof, the other proof. And most of the people have relied on inscriptions and other things.
Which is
But
good.
which is very good, actually.
Yeah.
But astronomical data is very important. And also, you were mentioning something very interesting. The Indian Madhvacharya, referred to as 4,600 years before, or something like that.
Yeah. We'll do that another session.
In the
It's
session.
a deeper one. I need to get this information from one of the senior disciple from the Madhva tradition. He brought it to my attention, and I'm having a communication with him, because that also will match 5561 BC. By the way.
Because when you add up, it becomes like that,
Yeah.
Very clear. And also, so it pushes the antiquity of Indian culture way back and actually ties with the civilization in South America.
Yes.
Because 7,000 to 8,000 is the Sun Temple Pachakamak was created in there. And also in the Agni, in the Ashwamedh Yagya, after the Mahabharata war, Arjun did another Ashwamedh Yagya.
Yes.
In that war, they go to the Pushkar Deep also. And how did they reach there? That means the ocean levels were way low. They could cross through the Bering Strait or through boats, either ways. But Bering Strait is easier way to cross over there because the sea is more choppy, but short distance. It's just 36 miles. But we need to check on those evidences also, because those are not mentioned there.
Right. And I'm not sure if the Ashwamedha, they went that far, but that's a different subject. But because Rajasuya, we know Nakul going in the west and Bhima going in the east, Arjun going sort of north and this, and Sahadev going to the south. So those descriptions in the Sabha Parva are more detailed. The Ashwamedha Parva, the descriptions of Arjuna going around are not that detailed.
Very short words are there.
Very short version.
So आप पौष्य स्वर्ण की बात कर रहे हैं, that is one which was brought in that time also.
Acha, which Swarna? Pushkar Swarna.
Pushkar Swarna.
So we need to research. Yeah, we need to research that.
Either they traveled or we went there.
They would have sent, just like Sahadev, the Rajasuya Yajna before the war, Sahadev did not go to Lanka.
Ghatotkacha
went there. Yeah. So they might have sent their parties,
And Ghatotkacha temple is in Indonesia. All the 5 temples are there. Ghatotkacha temple is also there.
Yeah.
In a very specific location, the Yavadweep, not Java.
And I mean, so we will stop, because you and me can just go on forever. The connection to the Patal, like, the Latin America, the whole South America, is also sometime, you can actually, you do the live show also. Bhagavad Puran has got beautiful descriptions how when Vamana sent Bali into house arrest, so to say, and that is Bali, Indonesia. And after that, his descendants, or he himself, the description says, did not return, but he went further to Patal. And there he established multiple colonies, Atala, Sutala, Tala, Atala, Rasa Atala, and so on. And those are South Americas. And you can see that connection, beautiful connection. Like
Yeah.
you posted that Cambodia Mandir, which is like, you look at that structure and take any of the 400, 500 pyramids from South America and put next to it.
Temples. Yeah.
Right? From Guatemala, there are temples,
The temples.
different architecture.
And also the Spaniards, they actually, what they did was went to the roof of the temple where the Archa Vigraha is set up
And put a cross.
cross, and they broke the structure and used that wood to make a cross.
Yes. Yeah.
I literally saw this time in the Parikutin volcano.
Yeah.
That the Purapecha tribe,
yes,
church was broken and put in their temple was broken, put in the church.
Turn it into church. Same, the Mexico City's main church, the big church, is basically on the, what is that? Tenochtitlan. The place is Tenochtitlan, right?
The whole city is Tenochtitlan, like the Tenochtitlan and the Templo Mayor.
Correct. And how beautiful it was, and well organized, and the lakes.
And you saw my video? They were blowing conch shell in front.
Oh, is it? No,
Yeah.
I have to see those.
You see the video where they're blowing conch shell in the front? And I asked them why you're doing it. And I had to have a translator there to translate Spanish. So I pick up anybody on the crowd.
Yeah. I'll ask for the video link. I don't know where. Yeah.
And then they're blowing conch shell. I asked them why. Well, then one day our serpent will turn and bring down the church. और उसके साथ Mexican government का जो main house है वो भी जाने वाला है. But anyway, and one thing I noticed over there, all the churches were turning, गिर रहे नीचे. And they're true, because ऐसा लगता है कि somebody is turning in the earth. Anyway, वो सब तो is our happiness art.
श्रद्धा का विषय है.
श्रद्धा का विषय. And they make rangolis also right in front of them, and they worship Hitsopotal and Omnipotal. Hitsopotal and Omnipotal, if anyone wants to know, Omnipotal is Bhagwan Vishnu, and Hitsopotal is Surya Sun, Yamraj. So anyway, there is a very good book by Hindu America, which people can refer to. It's a good document.
By Chaman Lal.
Very famous by Chaman Lal. Thank you very much, Nilesh ji, as usual. And thank you all the viewers for watching. Do like, share, subscribe. Let us know your feedback, and we will continue the next show. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaskar.